Now for our story. Tonight, while she dressed for the opening of Wakefield's new supper club, Lily Devon had been overcome with what she recognized as the first night jitters. She'd worked so hard trying to make the place attractive, getting a good orchestra, making arrangements for food and drinks. But that had been 3 or 4 hours ago, and by now Lily knew the success of the place was assured. The music was good, the dinner had been excellent, and when the little white piano was wheeled out and Lily sat down at it with a spotlight turned on her to sing a few numbers, there'd been tremendous bursts of spontaneous applause. They'd called her back for encore after encore. Now, flushed with happiness and excitement, Lily holds up her hands for silence.
Thank you. Now, don't be scared, everybody. I'm allergic to long speeches myself, so I'm not going to make one. But I do want to tell you how grateful I am for the swell response you've given us tonight. Really, you've been wonderful. I'm glad you like my songs. Because you're probably going to see quite a lot of me around here. And if you don't like them, well, we'll all be out of luck, I guess. Really, you've all been swell. And I want to take this opportunity right now to thank all the people who worked to get the place ready. I think they did a good job, don't you? I guess most of you know what the real purpose of this supper club is. There's a certain person in this town you all know. I'm going to introduce her and ask her to say a few words in just a minute. But she's pretty shy, so first, I want you to know this whole thing was her idea. She wanted the youngsters here around Wakefield to have a place where they could go to dance and have a good time. A place which would be theirs, where they wouldn't have to spend a lot of money for a chance to enjoy themselves. Well, we got to talking it over and decided that if the grown-ups would support us at reasonable prices, we could turn the club over to the kids for a minimum on their nights. And that's what we're going to do. And so I'd like to turn the floor over to the person who's responsible for the supper club, Aunt Mary Lane. Come on up, Aunt Mary. Say a few words. Aunt Mary! Aunt Mary! After all, this club was your brainchild, you know. Come on, tell the folks about it.
Why, I don't know what to say, Lily. I'm not accustomed to being in front of an audience like this.
But this isn't an audience, Aunt Mary. This is just a lot of friends, your friends, who've gotten together to invitation to have a good time. Isn't that right, folks?
Well, everybody, well, all I want to say is that I'm awfully glad you all came and that you're enjoying yourselves. As Lily told you, for a long time I've had the feeling there was a need here in town for a place the youngsters could think of as their own. And I believe this supper club will provide the answer. As Lily says, if we grown-ups get in the habit of dropping in for dinner and a little relaxation, that will mean we can afford to let the young folks take over the cost that will, well, just cover expenses. And judging from the reception tonight, I don't think there's much worry about whether people will enjoy themselves. My, when I look around, the difference. I remember the last time I was here for a lecture by that missionary to Africa. Well, I looked around me at those dreary, dark brown walls this place had, and the awful draperies, and I said to myself, maybe before we start brightening the lives of the African natives, we better do something about the banquet hall at the Brown Palace Hotel. But we certainly don't have to worry now. Lily did a wonderful job. She's been working night and day ever since she came to Wakefield. And I, for one, think she deserves all the credit and gratitude we can give her.
Thanks, Aunt Mary. And now I believe the boys in the orchestra are all set to give out with another number. So, everybody dance.
As the orchestra struck up and Aunt Mary returned to the table where Randy and Lefty Larkin were sitting, Lily's eyes searched the room. At last, she found the person she was seeking, David Bowman, who was standing in one of the doorways which led onto the veranda. Lily threaded her way across the room to him. After a moment's conversation, they disappeared outside.
You know, Mr. Bowman, I was looking all over for you.
Well, that's nice of you, Lily. Shall we sit down for a moment?
Yes, let's.
You must be tired. I've been watching you, and you haven't been still a minute all evening.
Well, it has been kind of rugged. Oh, but it's worth it. Do you realize it? You're a success.
I realize that you are, my dear. So, this evening has been quite a revelation to me. I'd no idea that...
No idea about what?
Well, you see, I've never had the pleasure of observing you in your professional capacity before. I'm very much impressed.
Impressed? Oh, I don't see why. I'm really not much of an MC.
Oh, but you are, Lily. You have just the right quality. Informal, friendly. And you project a sincerity.
Well, I certainly wasn't kidding when I told them how happy I am that they seem to be enjoying themselves. Oh, gosh. I was in a blue funk about 5 o'clock this afternoon. I was absolutely positive the place was going to be a dismal failure.
Well, that's only natural. Opening night and all.
Yeah. I only hope they couldn't tell how scared I was. Honestly, when I got up there to sing the first time, my knees were so wobbly you'd think this was a New York opening.
I'd never believe you were a bit nervous if you weren't telling me. You're a very finished performer, my dear. I've been around a lot in my time. In fact, all over the world. And you have that precious something that makes for success.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Bowman. That makes me feel good, even if I don't deserve it.
But you do, though. It's a very precious gift, that power to hold an audience. I believe it's something a person has to be born with. It can't be developed unless the basic essentials are there.
Nobody ever spoke about my ability in such a flattering way before. Not even when I was doing a comedy dance routine in a burlesque some years ago.
Burlesque?
Yeah. That doesn't exactly add social distinction to my background, I guess, but burlesque is a great school, and I'm not ashamed of it.
No reason why you should be, really. As a matter of fact, some of the biggest names in entertainment have come up from burlesque, I understand.
Oh, sure. But most people never think of that. That's one of the things I like about you, Mr. Bowman. You know a whole lot more about things than a person would expect. You're hep.
So I'm hep, am I?
Mm-hmm. I don't ever have to worry about you understanding things.
Well, thank you, Lily.
We're certainly tossing the bouquets back and forth tonight, aren't we?
Sort of a mutual admiration society, you might say.
Look, why don't we go in and have a dance? How about it, huh?
No, you run along, Lily. I'm pretty rusty, I'm afraid. And besides, you ought to be with the young people. It isn't right for an old fogey like me to monopolize your time. But now why don't you run along and give one of the young men about town a break?
But you're my escort for the evening.
Oh, that doesn't make any difference, Lily. It was nice of you to seek me out so we could have this little chat, but...
Besides, I'd rather stay here with you, Mr. Bowman. I like talking with you. It's restful.
Restful, huh? Now, dear, at your age, I'm sure that's the last thing you need. Rest. With all that wonderful vitality of yours, that splendid capacity for happiness, laughter. No, it's much too soon for you to be thinking in terms of peace and quiet.
Maybe it seems that way. But you see, I've had enough excitement in my life already to last me a long, long time. Ever since I was a kid. That's all there was. Excitement, hustling for booking, traveling around. That's why I enjoy being with you. You see, I've never known a man like you before. And in a way, I think I've been looking for the sort of person you are.
As the beautiful young woman made this simple statement, David Bowman smiled. Lily, David told himself, found in him the relationship she had missed so much as a child. A loving, understanding father. Now for our story. There was an atmosphere of gaiety about the Brown Palace Hotel in Wakefield this evening. The new supper club of which Lily Devon was to be hostess and entertainer had just opened. From the veranda, where she stood talking with David Bowman, Lily could see the couples dancing. They were having a good time, she told herself. The club looked like a success. At a table close to the dance floor, Randy Lane sat watching his mother dancing with Angus McKillop, the attorney. The lanky Scotsman danced with surprising grace, Randy thought. And, of course, his mother was as light on her feet as a young girl. But now, the music stops, and Angus guides Aunt Mary back to her table, seats her, and leaves with an old-fashioned bow.
McKillop never wastes a word, does he?
No, indeed. Angus never says two words if one will do as well. And if you can manage it without so much as wasting your breath, he's that much happier.
Well, he's no slouch as a dancer, anyway. You make a very nice couple, Mom.
I enjoy dancing with a good dancer, and Angus is. I'm so glad everything's going well, Randy. Doesn't the place look beautiful?
Mm-hmm. Amazing what a difference a little paint makes.
I knew Lily had a knack, but she's done wonders with this place. You'd never recognize it.
No. But by the way, that was a very cute speech you made a while ago.
Oh, Randy. I'm no speech maker, but when Lily asked me to say a few words, I didn't want to turn her down.
Well, you did a wonderful job. You should have seen Peggy's face. Was she impressed? And surprised.
I don't wonder. I'm sure Peggy never thought me capable of such a thing. To tell the truth, I was a little nervous.
Well, it didn't show. As a matter of fact, Peggy is not the only one proud of you. Count me in, too.
Thanks, son. Don't Peggy and Bill seem to be having a good time now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe they've missed a dance. And have you noticed Mario and Carla? They're as happy as children.
Yeah. They wandered past here a minute ago, hand in hand like two kids at a party.
It does my heart so much good to see them like that. Frankly, Randy, I was rather worried about that situation.
I've never known anyone as jealous as Mario.
Mm-hmm. But thank heaven it all blew over.
Thanks to you, it did, you know.
Well, Randy, basically, Mario is a sincere, honest young man. All I did was to make him understand how unfair he was to Carla.
Of course, you can't blame him entirely. He's not the kind of a guy to reason things out, so when he heard that story about Bill Meade being interested in his wife, he just blew his top, that's all.
But still, it's hard to understand why anyone would deliberately start a rumor like that.
Yeah.
And yet it was started.
Yeah, but I imagine it was just idle mischief, Mom.
I thought so. Well, all you have to do is look at Mario and Carla tonight, and you know everything's all right again. I haven't seen Lily around the last dance or so. Have you?
Oh, sure. I saw her. She went drifting out to the terrace with David Bowman. David? I never thought I'd be running into competition with him.
Well, Andy, it's probably her own fault that David is Lily's escort for the evening. You should have asked her sooner. Lily's a very popular young woman, you know.
Well, maybe I should have dated her up a month in advance, but how was I to know old David was going to be in their picture?
Oh, Andy.
Hey, Peter, calmly walks off with my best girl.
Well, your best girl?
At the figure of speech, Mom. Just the figure of speech.
You're too slick about it. I believe you actually feel neglected because David had the forethought to ask her first, and she accepted.
Well, maybe.
Lily thinks David is very nice, you know.
Mm-hmm. I think that's evident enough. Oh, well, she doesn't know what she missed. Pride of the lanes, the fine flower of Wakefield manhood.
What's this about fine flowers? Good evening, Aunt Mary. Good evening, Georgie. Randy, you remember Mr. Stewart, don't you? This is my son, Randy.
Yeah, I remember Georgie from way back.
How you been, Randy? Been wanting to get in touch with you about an article for the Sentinel. You know, heroes' profiles, I've been calling them.
Well, I don't know, Georgie. That stuff's okay, but I'm afraid I wouldn't make very good copy.
Why, sure you would, Randy. How about it?
We'll see. Suppose you're here in an official capacity tonight, huh, Georgie? Gonna give the supper club a big write-up tomorrow?
Oh, my, yes. Well, this is quite a social event, you know. Pete Campbell's going to take some photographs later. Why, we'll probably give the club a full-page spread this weekend. After all, everybody and his brother is here.
Must be quite a field day for you. You don't even have to listen at keyholes tonight. All you have to do is keep your ears open.
Oh, now, Randy, I don't... Oh, you mustn't pay any attention to my son, Georgie. I'm afraid Lefty Larkin prejudiced him against some aspects of newspaper work. You see, Lefty was a reporter in Chicago at one time. But since he's become a farmer, he hasn't much to say for that sort of life. Hey, where is Lefty? Haven't seen much of him tonight. He's across the room talking to Angus McKillop. If you'll excuse me, I think I'll go over and join him. Sure, Aunt Mary. Go right ahead. I'll stay here and chew the fat with Randy a while. That is, if he doesn't mind. I'm sure he doesn't, Mr. Stewart. Take care, Randy. Oh, that mother of yours is a fine-looking woman, Randy. Mighty fine.
You bet your boots here.
Yeah, takes after his son, I guess.
That's right.
Well, this is quite an event for Wakefield, all right. A real fancy supper club, just like in a big city. I only hope it's going to go over.
Why shouldn't it?
Oh, you know how it is. People around here aren't used to this kind of thing. They may like it at first, just for the novelty, but you can't tell what'll happen in the long run.
Seems to me they ought to appreciate a spot like this. It's only to relax in once in a while.
Maybe. Anyway, if anything can put it over, that luscious blonde hostess ought to turn the trick. She's quite a dish, isn't she?
Lily's a very good-looking girl.
Yeah. Well, I guess they have to be in those burlesque houses. Maybe you didn't know this, but the fact is, this Lily Devon used to be an entertainer in one of those places.
Says who?
Well, nobody in particular. Just something I heard.
You did. What about it?
Well, nothing. It don't mean anything to me.
Just another little news item?
Uh-huh. My business, you've got to keep an eye out for copy. That's why an evening like this is a real windfall. Why, this will give me stuff to write about for a week.
I'll bet it will.
Sure is a mixed crowd, though. Look at him. Everybody from Ben Calvert down to Pete Thornton. That simple guy who sweeps out the courthouse. And then again, there's Evelyn, the waitress at the drugstore, and right at the next table, Mrs. Ben Calvert. Of course, I always take a guess is Miss Ward, even if she is Miss Calvert now.
You seem to have the Calverts pretty much on your mind, Georgie.
Well, after all, Ben Calvert's a mighty powerful man in this town. So naturally, I'm interested in him. It's part of this.
I know. Yeah. Part of your job.
Darn right. Besides, the guy can't afford to rub Ben the wrong way. Funniest thing is seeing the Scaries here. According to what I heard, he never takes that wife of his anywhere. But here they are, big as life. I noticed her out on the veranda a while back, talking to his cousin Peggy's fiancé.
Anything wrong in Bill's talking to Carla Descari?
Well, I guess it all depends on how you look at things, Randy. Now, if I had a pretty little cousin like Peggy, and she was planning to marry a guy like Bill, I might give it quite a bit of thought.
What do you mean by that?
Not that the guy hasn't got good taste for picking him. That Kit Calvert's a swell-looking girl, and so's Peggy. And there's nothing wrong with Carla Descari's looks, either.
What's she got to do with it?
Now, wait a minute, Randy. There's no sense in getting mad at me. I can't help it if things like that get around. In a town this size, you can't keep people from noticing. Not can you?
From noticing what? Apparently nothing. That's what guys like you have in their foul little minds.
Now, look here, Randy Lane. You've no right to talk to me like that. And you better ask a couple of other parties about it if you want to get at the truth.
I don't need to ask anybody anything. Something just dawned on me. I should have thought of it sooner. You're the guy who started that nasty rumor about Bill Meade and Carla Descari. I should have known. And now that I...
Now, wait a minute. Wait. I did no such thing. I had nothing whatever to do with that story, so don't you get tough with me.
You're the only gossip monger in this town capable of starting a mean, dirty lie like that. Making it up out of nothing, so that you could get some attention.
That's not so, I tell you. You ask anybody at Smitty's. Why, it's common knowledge. Just go ahead and ask them if you don't believe me.
There was a ring of truth in George's denial, a sound of injured innocence which made Randy hesitate. Yeah, Georgie sounded as if he were telling the truth for once. Perhaps Randy thought he'd been wrong. Perhaps Georgie hadn't been the person who actually created the falsehood and launched it into the cool, lazy atmosphere of Smitty's pool hall, where it was bound to flourish. But if Georgie Stewart wasn't responsible, Randy asked himself, then who was? Now for our story. Paul Cromwell was feeling very sorry for himself tonight. He was basically a selfish man. His normal attitude of self-preservation had broken down only once, when he fell in love with Kit Calvert. He'd fallen in love so deeply then that he'd been willing to collaborate with her in deceiving Lisa Fenner. The aftermath of that situation, when Paul had learned how Kit had used him, had completely embittered him toward her. Now Kit had turned up in Miami. At first, Paul had believed her hysterical behavior was simply another attempt to involve him. But the night she'd broken into his room, Kit's wild incoherence had really alarmed him, and the doctor he called had confirmed his suspicion that the girl was suffering a genuine mental breakdown. Dr. Nielsen had insisted that she must not be moved, at least for the present. And so, Paul had been forced to turn his luxurious suite into a sick room. Well, now, the following day, the Kit has fallen into a deep sleep induced by a sedative, while Paul and the doctor converse in low tones at the far side of the room.
Well, Mr. Cromwell, I believe she'll sleep until morning now. Oh, thank heaven for that. I don't think I could stand much more of that raving. It's unnerving.
Of course. It's most unfortunate. I realize how deeply the girl's condition affects you. Seeing a person one's fond of in such a state.
Well, that's not quite the situation, Doctor. The fact is, the thing bothering me now is the responsibility. 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 Not to say the inconvenience.
The inconvenience?
Well, you see, I'd planned a cruise with some friends. We were to leave tomorrow.
But, Mr. Cromwell, you surely wouldn't consider such a move with with Miss Calvert in the state she's in.
No. No, I realize it's impossible. But good Lord, Doctor, she's not my responsibility. If only I could get in touch with her father. I called him again this afternoon, but he's still out of town.
Was there no one there with whom you could discuss the girl's condition?
I talked to her stepmother, but...
Her stepmother? Wasn't she able to make some arrangements in her husband's absence?
Well, so far as I've been able to gather, there's no love lost between Kit and her father's new wife.
I see. Mr. Calvert has recently remarried, and a resentment exists between daughter and stepmother. It's not too unusual. Perhaps that might throw some light on Miss Calvert's condition at present. A father fixation.
It might, but I doubt it. No, I'd say the underlying cause of Kit's breakdown went much deeper, further back in her life.
In any event, someone in authority must be notified.
Yes, I suppose so.
These mental cases are, well, at this stage, improper handling, or another shock might have serious results.
You mean she might never return to normal?
Unless she's given proper treatment, anything could happen, Mr. Cromwell. I hesitate to make a definite statement, since the case is quite outside my line. But I do know it's imperative that her people take over and make proper arrangements for her case.
Yes. I can't imagine why her father hasn't called. He must have received the message by now.
Did you impress upon Mrs. Calvert just how urgent it was?
Indeed, I did. And she assured me she'd give her husband the facts the minute he returned to Wakefield.
And Jessie had given Ben the message, but in such a way that Ben had discounted the story, assuming it to be a deception planned by Kit in order to get herself back in her father's good graces. And so, instead of telephoning Paul Cromwell, Kit's father had taken Jessie to the opening of Wakefield's new supper club, where, at this moment, Ben is having a brandy and soda with a business acquaintance. Jessie is sitting on the terrace with Brett Cameron.
Oh, I finally caught up with you, darling.
Caught up with him? I wasn't aware you'd been pursuing me.
Oh, yes, you were. You've been dodging me all evening. Rather cleverly, too.
Well, now that you have tracked me down, I hope you're satisfied.
No, not entirely.
What's the matter, Brett? Aren't you having a good time?
Oh, I suppose so. In an ordinary sort of way. And you, Jessie? After all, this is the major social event of the season. I'll make the most of it. You know, one of the disadvantages of being an old man's darling, you don't get about much.
The way you talk about Ben. One would think he was practically doddering.
Oh, isn't he? At least compared with me.
Frankly, I don't feel it's necessary or even advisable to compare him with you.
Could it be you're afraid your husband might suffer by the comparison?
No, it couldn't. And I wish you wouldn't be so smart, Brett. I've given you no justification for talking about Ben like this. He's my husband and... Well, I wish you'd show him more respect.
You mean the respect due my elders?
Oh, it's impossible. After all, you know, you're not in the juvenile class yourself. Even though you do behave like one.
It's your fault, Jessie. You make me feel young, full of vitality. But I assure you, not juvenile.
I wish you wouldn't say things like that.
But why, Jessie? All you have to do is believe me. You're really quite fond of me, if you'll only admit it.
There's such a thing as...
Now, don't say there's such a thing as fidelity, or I'll laugh. Besides, I'm sure we interpret the word differently. To me, it means fulfilling one's destiny in as pleasant a way as possible.
And no matter what means you may have to use. Brett, what do you want of life?
You, Jessie? That is, among other things.
Don't joke. I'm really curious. You're so irresponsible. You just seem to drift along with no plan of living, no...
Why, Jessie, that's not true at all. I have a plan. Quite a definite one, as I told you the other day. And you form an important part of it.
Then perhaps you'd better tell me what it is.
I will. I will when you're properly receptive. And you realize what a mistake you're making.
Mistake?
You sold us out, Jessie. Sold out without needing to. Oh, but never mind. When the time comes, I'm going to keep you easy. Have your cake and eat it, too.
It's not possible.
You'll see. In time. You know, I was rather surprised to find you here this evening. Surprised and pleased, too, of course.
Why surprised?
Well, after that phone call about your charming stepdaughter's difficulties in Miami, I rather thought Ben wouldn't be in the mood for revelry.
Does he look as if he's suffering?
No, he doesn't. It makes me wonder. Jeffy, are you quite sure you gave Ben that message?
Well, certainly I did. I wouldn't be fool enough to withhold it.
Well, I must say I am baffled. I know he was cold, self-centered, but I did think he'd rally around if his daughter was actually in trouble.
That's just it. Obviously, she's not.
But Jesse, this afternoon, after you talked to this Cromwell, you said you believed she was. But Cromwell was genuinely upset about it.
Well, perhaps I said that at the time. Matter of fact, I believe it was you who convinced me it couldn't be true. I decided to call Cromwell and Kit simply put their heads together and cook this story up between them.
You really think so?
Of course I do. Perfectly logical. And Ben comes to the same conclusion. Kit took him for a ride once too often, that's all. She's not interested anymore, and you can't blame her.
Jesse, you needn't lie to me.
I don't know what you mean.
You're playing a very cagey game, my dear. Don't try to convince me it's all a mess. Go on for you, darling. I realize that you're doing everything you can to cut the last bonds Ben has with that daughter of his. And once you do, your own position will be secure. Believe me, I hope you succeed.
I don't believe you. Not that I admit you're on the right track anyway, but
My dear, you don't understand. I want you to play along with Ben. You fit in with my scheme.
you expect me to believe you when on one hand you do everything you can to undermine my relationship with Ben, and on the other you pretend to be all for it.
Look, darling, did you ever hear of a gentleman by the name of Machiavelli? Well, I'm a great admirer of his. He went about getting what he wanted with strategy. You see, it's no use rushing in and thrashing around like a bull at the time, son. Much wiser to work delicately, subtly. Let other people do most of the work for you. And that's why I compliment you on the way you handled this Kit situation. You fixed it so Ben thinks it's a hoax, which means there's no danger of you having her back in the house again.
I certainly won't if I can prevent it.
Very wise, Jesse. Continue using your head and we'll both come out with what we want.
But perhaps you're being overconfident, Brett. For Paul Cromwell is still determined to talk to Kit's father. And if he does, and Ben hears the ring of genuine concern in Paul's voice, well, Ben will realize Kit's illness is not a false play for sympathy. If Ben knew that Kit is actually in need of help, he might change his mind. And Kit's return to her father's affections might spoil Jesse's plans as well as your own, Brett.